Hey everybody, welcome back. If you're new, my name is Pat. I like to do tech tutorials, demos, art of the possible. I like to teach, I like to learn, I like to have fun, right? So like and subscribe if you like what you see. I appreciate you, hope you appreciate me. We're gonna jump into whiteboarding today, right? So this is a big concept, kind of skill set in tech and business and life. And yeah, sometimes a picture could speak 1,000 words, and with architectures, can't be any more spot on, right? So um, I hope this helps you kind of like see the light. Maybe you don't know what you're doing, you're new to business, you're new to tech. Maybe you're trying to break into big tech. You have some interviews coming up. And yeah, this is usually where people start, right? They'll start with the concept of a region, right? And they'll get into kind of like networking stuff on AWS, on Amazon Web Services, right? They'll have like the US East 1. And like that's where half the internet is, right? Or 30% of the internet, right? And when it went down, we all noticed. There's also US West, right? And I could put some resources here, some resources there, and we'll just start simple. We also have what's called a VPC. This is your virtual private cloud. So this is sort of your slice of the cloud. Then you can kind of organize things even deeper, right? Availability zones. Right, and maybe you have two because you want high availability. So you have different data centers and different geographic distinct locations, and each availability zone is actually more than one data center. There's actually a lot of levels of availability here play, and that's how Amazon is so like reliable. It really is, and when it goes down, everyone notices, right? But there's also subnets. You could have public subnets and private subnets, right? And you can see I'm kind of fumbling around with my mouse, and it's hard, especially like when a customer is on the call and it's high tense, it's a tense scenario, and maybe you're in an interview, right? And you're afraid you're not gonna get the job, and they ask you a really hard question while you're trying to move your mouse around. And that's what I'm saying. You gotta practice. It's not something you can just jump in and be great at. There's different tools, and you might be forced to use different ones in different scenarios. So, internally or my own business, I like to do one thing, and then I work somewhere else, and they make me use a different tool, right? So you gotta get warmed up sometimes too. So I got EC2 instances. These are the virtual machines that you put in these availability zones. This is where you could have your web app, right? And you could have like an auto scaling group where under more demand from your users, it scales up and you have more than one, and that's all handled for you in the cloud world. But you can configure things and get it set up correctly and set up rules and do like CPU usage and base it off that, or there's different sort of strategies. Yeah, that's just sort of one nuance we could dive into. And they could ask you a bunch of stuff about EC2 right now, or they could ask you a bunch of stuff about VPC and subnets, and why would you put EC2 instances in your private subnet? They might say, why don't you put a database in there? Because that's more of a normal pattern, right? So a normal pattern would be your users come to your site, they interact with the web application, and they click a button and needs to fetch something from a database, right? That's pretty normal. They don't want the database to be like accessible by you and for you to get all the data. So they want only certain scenarios or certain people, certain permissions to do it, right? So that's why the database is usually private. Private doesn't mean it's not accessible. It just means there needs to be a certain routes in place to let access happen, right? Public subnets typically public to the entire internet. Is what that means. Your users, right? External. Yeah, I mean, if something went down here, Route 53 could route them to the other region. Instead of going here, get routed over here. Right? And maybe you want to save some money so you don't have as much stuff running over here. So maybe you only have just one instance. You have an auto scaling group that's ready to go, and you only have one AZ. You find out US East 1's gonna be down all day, so you have all your architects kind of building this out over here, right? Or you could have it ready to go like a standby sort of thing. But there's trade-offs, there's money, risk, and you got to make those decisions, right? So yeah, I think this is a good place to stop. There's obviously a lot more going on, like application load balancers, VPC endpoints, maybe Amazon S3, CloudFront, Lambda functions. There's so much more we could jump into, but this is a good place to start. If this is overwhelming, that's okay. It's going to get a lot easier, and trust me, this is just the beginning. All right, so I'm going to put this link in the description. This is the AWS architecture blog. It's just one of the categories of all their blogs, right? If you click here, you can see there's artificial intelligence, there's cloud operations, there's games. Hey, kitty cat, say hi to the camera. Hi. Yeah, but you can see some of them are like serverless, some of them are high level, low level. Here's some that I pulled up. This one has like, the recovery point objective, the recovery time objectives for disaster recovery, sort of trade-offs and stuff. And you can see like a, I guess, example down here, but I didn't look through this one that much. Here's a serverless one where it's a little more high level. It's not as detailed because it's just like serverless and regional services, not like, your own VPC kind of thing. Here's another one. And sometimes they're like numbered and they'll show you like the different interactions, or sometimes they'll just kind of give you like a blurb. Here's another one that's more like network heavy. This is a good example. So the clients come in here, then they go to CloudFront or Web Application Firewall, or WAF as it's called. And then they hit Route 53. It routes them to like the proper region, whether it's EU West or EU East or US East. And then the application load balancer will bring them to the right availability zone, which is in the VPC. And then there's VPC endpoints, I guess, for compliance, right? Because maybe you're using a global service like S3, but you can't use the public internet, right? So you can kind of like make assumptions as you see more of these and understand the patterns and the requirements and why someone might do something. But yeah, usually you need like, a couple paragraphs with the visual to really make sense of everything. And you want to understand like, okay, this is the workload, but what is it doing? And what's the purpose? What's the business value, right? But yeah, this is just another piece of the puzzle. Whiteboarding is not just like some black magic that some people on TV do. It's something that I talk to my clients about. It's something that we did at AWS all the time, and very real. So the more tenured solution architects, they're doing this all the time. They're flying around, making architectures, recommending things, visually kind of explaining things to people, versus someone who's not as technical. Maybe he's just memorizing stuff about EC2 and trying to apply it on a sales call, right? So yeah, very, very important. I hope it helps you get a good job, and I hope this is kind of getting you started in the right direction. So like and subscribe if you like what you see. I appreciate you. Hope you appreciate me. Peace.